Okay, so we'll start with you, Norman, if that's okay. I hear you had a nickname of Flash. Can you tell us why?
Well, it's a long story. Do you want the real story or do you want my version?
Well, I don't know really.
No, seriously.
I've got a job Tuesday.
I started off my professional career, like quite a few of the cricketers in here, and on the MCC ground staff. So I joined Lord's ground staff in 1978. I was a little baby back then, and I used to try and bowl very, very fast, as you do as a young man. And I remember bowling against one of my young professionals, and this guy called Mark Scott, who was on the ground staff at the time. And he said, "Cool, he bowls as quick as a flash." So that sort of name stuck. So when I got picked for England many, many years later, so like 4 years later, the papers rang Don Wilson up, the late Don Wilson, who was the head coach here at the MCC, and they wanted to know all about me. So when they spoke to Don, he said, "Oh, you mean Flash?" So the papers had a big headline then, Flash. So that's how that name came about.
Right.
Nothing like what you thought.
Okay. I think you do me a disservice there, Norman. I'm a family entertainer. Vince, I was going to ask you about Middlesex, but after that catch was turned down yesterday, as you are in charge of the umpires and referees...
Just ourselves, because he's got all the answers. Or Alan Jones.
Okay, right. Well, very nicely sidestepped, so that Vince. And someone else asked me, and I'll perhaps unfairly... just take this opportunity to sit in there. Someone said to me, "What does the fourth umpire do? Does he just carry the balls? Or could he not have seen that catch yesterday?"
Well, you know,
what does the fourth umpire
It is
do?
wonderful coming to a country that has this great unbiased view on that one particular delivery. And I'm glad you haven't been sucked into that.
No. Okay, well, it's good to see the man in charge of umpires and referees. Only a pity he can't see us, but there we go.
That is a great privilege, though.
Vince, how did you come to choose Middlesex, or did Middlesex choose you?
I mean, I didn't choose Middlesex. I'm a teacher. That's basically my profession. And I was fortunate to have JT and Don Bennett, who thought they saw something in me which I really didn't see in myself. And I was working I was teaching and then moving across to Alex Perry or Wigan Steve, it's a BAT company out here in Bijl. And they came across because, thank God, unbeknown to Brearley, they were considering me. And, which I think is true, right? And they came across, and I refused the Morgan because I was moving into a new job at Wigan Steve, and I was fortunate enough that Procky had said to JT and Don Bennett, my proctor had said at the right place, "Don't listen to Vince because he said no, go and speak to his boss." A guy called Derek Smith, whose brother I think was knighted here for Enoch Oil work, and he was a freak of Middlesex. He had watched 1948 as a young kid, Edwards and Compton. So when they came to see him, they said, "Sure, I'm a Middlesex man, you can have him for 6 months." That's why I came.
And were you tempted? You were a huge success here, of course. Were you tempted to stay on?
Most sportsmen here most probably will know that sort of regime of the first season, no one knows who you are, so you get away with murder. You don't want to test it for a second season. And my wife was pregnant with our third kid, so it made it impractical to come back.
Right, so you weren't concentrating on your cricket.
But I did keep it within bounds, you know.
Right, Mike, tell us about your 3 wickets.
I can't wait.
I had the idea that one of the forms of cricket that was seriously neglected since about the 1860s was lob bowling. And actually Embers was, as a proper bowler, was really offended when I started to bowl lobs. The other thing that happened was, I remember I bowled some lobs here at Leicestershire, Brian Davison, and he was a very tough, strong chap. And he came down the wicket to me with his bat over his head like this. I thought he was going to hit me. But I think one of those wickets was in Zimbabwe, was a lob. But I don't really want to talk about that, really.
No, we probably don't want to hear too much about it, really.
You asked me.
I was hoping to be more interested, really, but never mind. Gus, we'll move on to Gus.